Artwork by Chapulin. Bull Salzburg returned to European action this week with their tie against Club Brugge in the UEFA Europa League round of 32 tie. The Austrian champions overcame a potentially tough group stage encounter, beating the likes of RB Leipzig and Celtic to progress as group winners. Having avoided a tougher draw, Salzburg would have fancied their chances against the Belgian club to complete the straightforward task of progressing to the next round, but Brugge were not going to roll over so easily. This feature will dissect and examine the different tactical aspects that were key in this game and how Brugge managed to silence the Red Bulls. Red Bull Salzburg team sheet of Club Brugge vs Red Bull Salzburg. Credit, Y-Scout Marco Rose lined up in his usual 4-3-1-2, looking to use his four dynamic midfielders to supplement his two informed strikers. The fullbacks would be used for width to try and get in behind the Brugge defensive line. Stefan Lainer and Andreas Ulmer have been in fine form for Salzburg this season and were instrumental in their victories against RB Leipzig and Celtic, providing the impetus and supplying crosses that led to their goals. Diadi Samaseku and Xaver Schlager bring stability and protection in midfield, while Hannes Wolf and Zlatko Junicevic supplied industry and creativity to support the two strikers in Fredrik Gulbrandsen and Mogens Dabber. The two strikers have been in scintillating form for Salzburg in the Europa League this season, with 10 goals between them in the group stages. Their clinical finishing was expected to decide the outcome of the match. Club Brugge, the Belgian club, lined up in a 3-5-2 formation with the aim to try to remain compact in midfield and protect the defense whilst being able to counter-attack by winning the ball deep in their own half. Ivan Lacko wanted his side to keep it tight and battle Salzburg in midfield to try and take the game to them. When the opportunity arose, the two fullbacks would supply width for the two strikers. Club Brugge produced a performance that no one would have expected. In beating Salzburg, they inflicted their first defeat of the season, making the tie a much closer affair than originally anticipated. They salvaged a draw against Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund earlier in the campaign, showing their capabilities. First half analysis. First half took its time to settle and chances were snapped at by both sides. Even after the first goal, the game kept a similar pace, with Brugge owning the majority of possession but were far less accurate than Red Bull Salzburg, who had 4 shots on target. Both teams were looking to press and win the ball in midfield to attack with their wing-backs. Brugge did well to disrupt Salzburg's flow in the first half as they limit their chances. However, the first goal was something of a classic by Salzburg as they caught Brugge's defensive line higher up. One long ball into the left channel by Andreas Ulmer to Zlatko Junicevic resulted in a goal. Andreas Ulmer sends a long ball down the flank. Credit, Y-Scout Zlatko Junicevic chases down the loose ball and catches out the defensive line. Credit, Y-Scout Junicevic catches out the goalkeeper. Credit, Y-Scout. As Andreas Ulmer receives the ball, he quickly plays it down the line and catches Brugge's midfield and defensive lines out. The team was fixated on Mogens Dabber's position and did not notice Junicevic's deep run. Some quick thinking from Junicevic saw him lob the goalkeeper, who was off his line. The first goal seemed to have sparked some life into Brugge, who suddenly started to play a quicker passing game and tried to utilize their wing-backs more, bringing Wesley Moraes into play with his height and linking up with Hans Vanaken. The 6'2" Brazilian striker was fundamental to their play throughout and not only used as a battering ram but dropped deep and linked up with the midfield. This coincided with the wing-backs attempting more crosses, as the half wore on, making wide play and set pieces more critical in the second half. Wesley linked up with the wing-backs and midfield throughout. Credit, Y-Scout. Credit, Y-Scout. Here we can see how Wesley attempts to move into the empty space to help his wing-back and create space for other runners to engage the empty space. He repeated this multiple times and made himself a nuisance to the Salzburg defense. Second half analysis. Brugge began the second half much more quickly than the first. The tempo was visibly higher and they moved the ball around much more energetically. They made 2 changes as the break, bringing on Benoit Poulain and Crépin Diatta for Sofiane Amrabat and Dion Kools. These changes contributed to Brugge's resurgence in the second half. Early corner for Club Brugge in the second half. Credit, Wisecout. Credit, Wisecout. Dabber clears off the line. Credit, Wisecout. The first minute brought about the first corner of the half and set the tone for what was to come. A header from substitute Poulain was cleared off the line by Dabber. Poulain got away from his marker, Xaver quite easily and should have scored. Substitute Magis Emmanuel Dennis touch map against Red Bull Salzburg. Credit, SofaScore. Brugge decided to focus on using the wings as they did towards the end of the first half and found success. Emmanuel Dennis was the catalyst for their improvement as his direct running style, interchanging play and crosses were instrumental in getting Brugge back into the match. As you can see with his touch and heat map above, Dennis spent the majority of his time in the final third. Crépin Diatta's introduction brought a lot more attacking impetus down the opposite flank as his industrious running stretched the Salzburg full-backs. Diatta attempts a run down the flank. Credit, Wisecout. The wingback is faced with a 2v1 situation but uses his pace to evade the challenges. Credit, Wisecout. Credit, Wisecout. The cross misses the intended targets but reaches the opposite wing-back who fires a shot onto the post. Credit, Wisecout. As you can see here, Diatta makes an early run from his teammates' pass down the flank. As he gets to the byline, he attempts to take on both Elmer and Samaseku whom he beats to get a cross in. With no one able to reach his cross, Dennis run from the opposite side manages to yield success as he fires a shot onto the post. Brugge's influence over the match was starting to take shape and Salzburg needed to sustain constant pressure. As the half wore on, Brugge gained a better foothold in the game and started to dictate play, making it look as though Salzburg were the chasing team. A goal was coming and in the 64th minute, Brugge struck gold. Brugge line up for a similar corner and attempt the same runs. Credit, Wisecout. Stefano Denswil rises highest to beat Alexander Walk. Credit, Wisecout. This corner had an identical setup to the goal with Salzburg using their zonal marking system against Brugge. The 3 men in the center of the box are trying to run into the empty space ahead of them using their power and size advantage to win the header. Stefano Denswil loses his marker, rises highest and powers a header away from Alexander Walk to equalize. Wesley Snipes. The winning goal came after a period of extended pressure by Club Brugge. The home team had used the momentum from the first goal to keep the pressure on and not allow Salzburg to rest, exploiting the spaces they started leaving. Andreas Ulmer caught out of position. Credit, Wisecout. Salzburg have been susceptible to crosses this season and it was evident again after Denswil's first goal. Earlier in the group stages against RB Leipzig, Salzburg gave up a 2-goal advantage to the German club courtesy of a headed goal from Yusuf Poulsen. The Danish striker rose high to score a thumping header. Shades of that evening in Leipzig were repeated here in Belgium when Wesley scored a header from close range to give Brugge the lead on the night. Emmanuel Dennis yet again fires a cross into Wesley who is seen running into space. Credit, Wisecout. Wesley puts Club Brugge into the lead, making it 2-1. Credit, Wisecout. Once again, Dennis makes another marauding run down the right flank and fires in a cross that is met by Wesley who scores to give Brugge the lead. The goal ensures they go to Austria with a fair chance of qualifying for the next round. Quick recovery. Red Bull Salzburg would have been shocked by the result but more so by their performance after Brugge inflicted their first defeat of the 2018-19 season. They will still be considered favorites to progress but will need a near-flawless performance next week to ensure they make it through. Marco Rose will have to remind the players that the tie is not over yet and still salvageable, but no complacency can creep in, otherwise their hopes of bettering their semi-final finish will be dashed for yet another season. After losing Amadou Haidara to RB Leipzig in the January transfer window, it is only a matter of time before Europe's heavyweights come in for their talented squad, causing Salzburg to rebuild once more. If you love tactical analysis, then you'll love the digital magazines from TotalFootballAnalysis.com, a guaranteed 100 pages of pure tactical analysis covering topics from the Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, Bundesliga and many, many more. Pre-order your copy of the February issue for just 4 liras and 99 cent SME here, or even better, sign up for a 50 liras annual membership, 12 monthly issues plus the annual review, right here.